Ever looked at someone and thought, they just have it all? Maybe a classmate who aced every test or a coworker who soared up the ladder. We often believe these people are simply born gifted and that we're stuck with what we have. But what if that's not true? What if your success isn't about talent, but about how you think? The real key is your mindset, the beliefs and attitudes you carry every day. The most successful people aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who believe they can improve and put in the effort. Let's challenge the myth of talent and discover how your mindset can unlock your true potential. Enter Dr. Carol Dweck, a Stanford psychologist whose research changed everything. She discovered that our beliefs about our abilities shape our entire lives. Dweck identified two mindsets, fixed and growth. A fixed mindset believes abilities are set in stone, leading to fear of failure and avoidance of challenges. A growth mindset believes abilities can be developed, fueling resilience and a love of learning. This simple distinction is the secret to continuous growth and achievement. Understanding which mindset you have is the first step to transformation. The fixed mindset says your intelligence and talents are unchangeable. Every challenge feels like a test of your worth, and failure is a verdict, not a lesson. People with this mindset avoid risks, stick to what they know, and see effort as a sign of weakness. They envy others' success, feeling threatened instead of inspired. This mindset creates a cycle of fear, avoidance, and missed opportunities. It turns life into a competition where you're always at risk of being not enough. But there's another way to see the world. The growth mindset believes abilities can be developed through effort and learning. Challenges are opportunities, not threats. Mistakes are part of the process, not proof of inadequacy. People with this mindset seek out challenges, persist through setbacks, and see effort as the path to mastery. They're inspired by others' success, eager to learn and grow. This mindset builds resilience, curiosity, and a lifelong love of learning. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Your mindset reveals itself in your inner voice during tough moments. The fixed mindset voice is critical and defeatist. You're not smart enough. Give up. It seeks validation and fears judgment, turning mistakes into proof of failure. The growth mindset voice is curious and encouraging. This is hard, but I can learn. It focuses on progress, not perfection, and sees feedback as a tool for growth. By shifting your inner dialogue, you turn struggles into opportunities. Cultivate the voice that guides you toward your full potential. At this point, you might be thinking, this is an interesting theory, but does it really matter more than raw talent? The answer, supported by decades of Dr. Dweck's research, is a resounding yes. Talent is a wonderful starting point, but it is your mindset that determines where you end up. Think of two individuals who start with the same level of natural ability in a particular field. The one with a fixed mindset will be hesitant to step outside their comfort zone for fear of looking incompetent. They will plateau quickly, believing they have reached the natural limit of their talent. Their progress will be capped not by their actual ability, but by their belief about that ability. The individual with a growth mindset, however, will see their initial talent as nothing more than a foundation to build upon. They will relentlessly seek out challenges, understanding that this is how they will sharpen their skills. They will put in the hours of deliberate practice, knowing that effort is the engine of expertise. When they fail, they will analyze their mistakes, learn from them, and come back stronger. Over time, their dedication and resilience will allow them to far surpass their fixed mindset counterpart. Their potential is not a fixed point, but an ever-expanding horizon. This is why we so often see people with less natural talent ultimately achieve far greater things than their more gifted peers. Consider the world of sports. Many legendary athletes, including Michael Jordan, were not considered the most naturally gifted players early in their careers. In fact, Jordan was famously cut from his high school varsity basketball team. What set him apart was his incredible work ethic and his unwavering belief that he could improve. He spent countless hours in the gym, practicing even after his teammates had gone home. He used his failures and setbacks as fuel to work even harder. His growth mindset transformed his good potential into legendary greatness. His story is a powerful testament to the fact that hard work, driven by the right mindset, will always trump talent that is left undeveloped. Ultimately, your mindset shapes your entire reality. It dictates whether you see a world full of limitations or a world brimming with opportunities. A fixed mindset creates a reality where you are constantly being judged, where challenges are threatening, and where effort is a sign of weakness. It is a self-imposed prison that restricts your growth and limits your achievements. A growth mindset, however, creates a reality where you are constantly learning, where challenges are exciting, and where effort is the key to unlocking your full potential. It grants you the freedom to pursue your passions without fear, to build resilience in the face of adversity, and to become a better version of yourself every single day. The choice is yours. The foundations of our mindset are laid much earlier than we might imagine, often taking root in our earliest childhood experiences. Dr. Dweck's research journey actually began with observing children, where she first noticed the profound differences in how they responded to difficulty. She presented young children with puzzles, some of which were simple, and others that were intentionally too difficult for their age group. The reactions she witnessed were startlingly different and revealed the early formation of either a fixed or a growth mindset. Some children, when faced with a challenging puzzle they couldn't immediately solve, became discouraged and concluded, "I'm not smart enough for this." They saw the difficulty as a reflection of their innate ability, a sign that they had reached their limit. On the other side of the spectrum were children who reacted to the same difficult puzzles with surprising enthusiasm and determination. Instead of feeling defeated, their eyes would light up and they would exclaim things like, "I love a challenge," or "This is my favorite one." These children didn't interpret the difficulty as a judgment on their intelligence. For them, the struggle was the most exciting part of the process. They understood, on an intuitive level, that the puzzle was an opportunity to engage their minds, to try different strategies, and to learn something new. This pivotal discovery showed Dweck that even at a very young age, children are already developing core beliefs about what it means to be smart and what it means to fail. These early mindsets are not something children are born with, they are learned. They are shaped by the messages they receive from the most influential people in their lives, their parents, teachers, and coaches. The language we use, the behaviors we model, and the values we emphasize all contribute to the internal voice a child develops. A child who constantly hears that they are a natural or so smart begins to believe that intelligence is a static, inherent trait they must protect. Conversely, a child who is praised for their effort, their persistence, and their problem-solving strategies starts to understand that their abilities are malleable and can be developed through hard work and dedication. The environment in which a child grows up plays a crucial role in cultivating one mindset over the other. A home or classroom that fears mistakes and focuses solely on perfect scores will inadvertently foster a fixed mindset. In such a setting, children learn to avoid risks that might lead to failure, as failure is equated with a lack of intelligence. In contrast, an environment that celebrates the learning process, encourages questions, and treats mistakes as valuable learning opportunities will nurture a growth mindset. It teaches children that their potential is not a predetermined ceiling, but an ever-expanding horizon, waiting to be explored through curiosity and perseverance. These early lessons become the bedrock of their lifelong approach to challenges. One of the most powerful tools we have for shaping a child's mindset is, honestly, the way we offer praise. It may seem a little counterintuitive, but Dweck's research reveals a startling truth. Praising a child's intelligence or talent can actually be detrimental to their motivation and resilience. When we tell a child, "You're so smart," or "You're a natural artist," we are sending a subtle but powerful message. This type of praise, which Dweck calls person praise, encourages a fixed mindset. It teaches the child that their success is due to an innate quality they possess. And this can create a tremendous amount of pressure to live up to that label, making them fearful of any challenge that might shatter their image as the smart kid. The danger of this fixed mindset praise becomes really evident when a child inevitably encounters a task that is difficult. A child who has been consistently praised for their intelligence may quickly become discouraged, thinking, "If I'm so smart, why is this so hard? Maybe I'm not that smart after all." They may give up easily to protect their ego and avoid the risk of being seen as a failure. This praise links their identity directly to their performance, so any stumble feels like a personal flaw. Over time, these children learn to play it safe, sticking only to tasks they know they can succeed at, thereby limiting their own growth and, honestly, missing out on valuable learning experiences that come from tackling difficult problems. The alternative and far more effective approach is to praise the process. This means focusing your praise on the child's effort, the strategies they used, their persistence, and their willingness to learn. Instead of saying, "You're so smart," you could say, "You worked really hard on that math problem, and you didn't give up even when it got tricky. I'm proud of your effort." Or instead of, "You're a great artist," you could say, "I love the way you use so many different colors in your drawing. Tell me about your process." This type of praise, known as process praise, helps cultivate a growth mindset by connecting success to controllable actions rather than fixed traits. By praising effort and strategy, we teach children that their abilities can be developed. They learn that challenges are not a sign of their inadequacy, but, rather, an essential part of the learning journey. This approach empowers them to take on more difficult tasks, as they see them as opportunities to get stronger and smarter. It builds resilience, teaching them to bounce back from setbacks because failure is no longer a verdict on their worth, but simply a signal to try a new approach. Shifting our language from praising the person to praising the process is honestly one of the most profound gifts we can give a child, setting them on a lifelong path of confident and joyful learning. The classroom is one of the most critical arenas where a child's mindset is either nurtured or stifled. A teacher's own mindset profoundly influences the entire learning atmosphere and really has a direct impact on student achievement. A teacher with a fixed mindset may believe that some students are simply smart while others are struggling learners, and there is little that can be done to change this. This belief can lead them to focus their attention on the students they perceive as high achievers, while offering less challenging work to those they've labeled as less capable. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, where students' potential is capped by the teacher's low expectations, reinforcing a fixed mindset in the students themselves. In contrast, a teacher who embodies a growth mindset creates a completely different classroom dynamic. These educators believe that every student has the potential to grow and succeed with the right effort and support. They see their role not as sorting students by ability, but as developing the potential within each one. This belief translates into a classroom culture that values progress over perfection. These teachers emphasize effort, celebrate improvement, and use mistakes as teaching moments. They provide challenging work for all students, along with the guidance and encouragement needed to help them rise to the occasion, fostering an environment where every child feels capable of growth. Creating a growth mindset classroom involves more than just the teacher's attitude. It requires specific pedagogical strategies. For example, teachers can explicitly teach students about the brain's ability to grow stronger with effort, much like a muscle. They can use the word "yet" to reframe statements of inability, turning "I can't do this" into "I can't do this yet." This simple linguistic shift can honestly transform a student's perception of a challenge from an insurmountable wall into a temporary hurdle. Furthermore, grading and assessment can be structured to reward progress, effort, and the willingness to revise work based on feedback, rather than focusing solely on the final score of a single test. Ultimately, a growth mindset school culture empowers students to become active, engaged, and resilient learners. When schools prioritize the development of a growth mindset, they equip students with the tools to navigate not just academic challenges, but life's challenges as well. They learn to embrace difficulties, to persist in the face of setbacks, and to see learning as a lifelong adventure rather than a performance to be judged. This educational philosophy doesn't just produce students with higher test scores, it produces curious, confident, and adaptable human beings who are prepared to unlock their full potential and contribute meaningfully to the world around them. The principles of mindset extend far beyond the classroom and into the very core of the professional world, especially within the realm of leadership. The mindset of a leader sets the tone for an entire organization, shaping its culture, its resilience, and its capacity for innovation. In her research, Dr. Dweck draws a sharp contrast between leaders who operate from a fixed mindset and those who lead with a growth mindset. A fixed mindset leader is often preoccupied with proving their own superiority. They believe they are the smartest person in the room and feel the need to constantly validate this belief. This creates an environment where they are the genius, and everyone else is there simply to execute their vision without question. They see talent as a static, rare commodity that they possess. This type of leadership can be incredibly toxic for a company. Fixed mindset leaders tend to surround themselves with yes men who won't challenge their ideas, because they perceive disagreement or criticism as a personal attack on their intelligence. They fear being wrong and will often avoid taking calculated risks that could lead to failure, even if those risks hold the potential for massive growth. When things go wrong, their first instinct is to find someone to blame rather than looking for a lesson to be learned. This blame game culture stifles creativity and psychological safety, as employees become too afraid to speak up, experiment, or admit to making mistakes. It creates a company that is brittle, resistant to change, and honestly, ultimately destined to be outmaneuvered by more agile competitors. On the other hand, a growth mindset leader operates from a completely different philosophy. They believe that potential is something that can be cultivated in everyone, including themselves. They don't need to be the sole genius. Instead, they see their role as a cultivator of talent, dedicated to developing the skills of every person on their team. These leaders are lifelong learners who are not afraid to admit when they don't have all the answers. They actively seek out feedback, welcome constructive criticism, and embrace challenges as opportunities for the entire organization to stretch and grow stronger. They understand that true leadership is not about having all the power, but about empowering others to succeed. This leadership style fosters a vibrant and resilient organizational culture. When a leader models a growth mindset, they give their team permission to do the same. Employees feel safe to take risks, to experiment with new ideas, and to be honest about their setbacks, knowing that failure will be treated as a valuable learning opportunity, not a punishable offense. This creates a dynamic environment where feedback flows freely, collaboration thrives, and innovation becomes a natural byproduct. A growth mindset leader builds a company that is not just successful in the present, but is also built to adapt, evolve, and thrive in the face of future uncertainties. They build an organization that learns. A company's success is not just determined by having a single growth mindset leader at the helm. It really depends on embedding this philosophy into the very fabric of the organization. Companies that actively foster a growth mindset culture consistently outperform their fixed mindset counterparts. These organizations aren't built on the idea of hiring a few superstars and expecting them to carry the entire company. Instead, they're built on the belief that every employee has the capacity to grow and contribute in meaningful ways. They invest heavily in employee development, training, and mentorship, seeing their workforce not as a fixed asset, but as a portfolio of developing potential that needs to be nurtured and expanded over time. One of the most powerful examples of this in action comes from the world of technology. Microsoft, under the leadership of Satya Nadella, really underwent a massive cultural transformation by shifting from what was often described as a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture. Nadella recognized that in a rapidly changing industry, the belief that you've already figured everything out is, honestly, the fastest path to irrelevance. He championed a growth mindset, encouraging employees to be curious, to embrace new ideas, and to learn from both their successes and their failures. This cultural shift is widely credited with reigniting the company's innovative spirit and propelling it to new heights of success, demonstrating the immense power of an organizational growth mindset. So, how can a company practically cultivate this kind of environment? It starts with changing the language and values of the organization. Instead of rewarding only the final outcome or the win, companies can start celebrating the process. This means recognizing and rewarding effort, smart risk-taking, and collaboration. It involves creating systems for constructive feedback where employees can learn from one another without fear of judgment. Performance reviews can be reframed from a backward-looking critique into a forward-looking conversation about development, focusing on questions like, what did you learn this quarter? And what challenges do you want to tackle next? This shifts the focus from proving ability to improving ability. Ultimately, building a growth mindset organization is about creating a culture of psychological safety, where every employee feels empowered to learn and contribute. It requires leaders to be vulnerable, to admit their own mistakes, and to model the behavior they want to see. It means hiring for potential and a love of learning, not just for an impressive resume. When a company commits to this path, it doesn't just build a better product or service, it builds better people. And it is those people with their resilience, creativity, and unwavering desire to grow who will become the company's greatest and most sustainable competitive advantage in the long run. One of the most transformative concepts for personal and professional development is the simple but profound idea of not yet. This concept is a cornerstone of the growth mindset, and it can really revolutionize how we approach our careers. When we face a skill we haven't mastered or a goal we haven't achieved, a fixed mindset tells us, I can't do it or I'm not good at this. These are statements of finality. They're dead ends that shut down any possibility of future progress. They define our current ability as a permanent state, leaving us feeling defeated and incompetent. This internal narrative can be incredibly limiting, causing us to abandon challenging projects or avoid opportunities that would push us beyond our current capabilities. The growth mindset, however, adds one simple word to that internal dialogue: yet. By reframing the thought to, I can't do it yet, or I'm not good at this yet, we completely change the meaning. The statement is no longer a verdict on our abilities. It becomes a recognition of where we are on a learning curve. It implies that with more time, more effort, and better strategies, mastery is possible. This small linguistic shift opens up a pathway to future success. It turns a wall into a road. This is not just a semantic trick. It's a powerful psychological tool that fosters perseverance and transforms our relationship with challenges in the workplace. Imagine a sales professional who misses their quarterly target. A fixed mindset reaction might be, I'm just not a good salesperson. This leads to demoralization and a potential decline in future performance. A growth mindset professional using the power of not yet would think, I haven't hit my target yet. This immediately prompts a different set of questions. What strategies didn't work? What can I learn from my colleagues who were successful? What new skills do I need to develop for the next quarter? This approach turns a failure into a data point for improvement, fueling a proactive search for solutions rather than a passive acceptance of defeat. Embracing the power of not yet is a skill that can be cultivated by anyone in any role, from an entry-level employee to a CEO. It requires us to become more mindful of our self-talk, especially in moments of struggle or disappointment. When you receive critical feedback on a project, instead of thinking I failed, try thinking, this shows me what I need to work on. When you are passed over for a promotion, instead of thinking I'm not leadership material, think I haven't developed the necessary skills yet. This mindset empowers you to take ownership of your professional journey, viewing every setback not as a roadblock, but as a signpost guiding you toward your next area of growth. The influence of our mindset extends beyond our professional and academic lives, reaching into the most intimate and personal corners of our world, our relationships. The beliefs we hold about ourselves and others profoundly affect how we navigate the complexities of love, friendship, and family. A person with a fixed mindset often carries a set of dangerous myths about relationships. They tend to believe in a kind of destiny or perfect fit, thinking that a successful relationship should happen naturally, without effort. They might believe that if you are truly meant to be with someone, everything will be easy, communication will be seamless, and conflicts will be rare. This fairy tale view sets a relationship up for failure before it even begins. When challenges inevitably arise, as they do in all meaningful connections, the fixed mindset interprets them as a sign of a fatal flaw. A disagreement or a period of struggle is not seen as a normal part of two people growing together, but as proof that we're not compatible or this relationship is broken. They might think that if you have to work at it, it wasn't meant to be. This belief system makes it incredibly difficult to resolve conflicts constructively. Instead of seeing a problem as something to be solved together, they see it as a verdict on the viability of the entire relationship. This can lead to a cycle of blame, defensiveness, and ultimately withdrawal, as they give up on the connection rather than putting in the work to strengthen it. In stark contrast, a growth mindset brings a completely different and far more resilient approach to love. Individuals with a growth mindset understand that a great relationship is not something you find, it's something you build. They believe that both they and their partner are capable of growth and change, and that the relationship itself can evolve and become stronger over time. They don't expect perfection. Instead, they expect that there will be challenges, and they view these challenges as opportunities for the relationship to deepen. They see conflict not as a threat, but as a necessary part of understanding each other better and learning how to function as a team. They are willing to put in the effort because they see it as an investment in a shared future. This mindset fosters communication, empathy, and perseverance. When a problem arises, a growth mindset couple is more likely to ask, "How can we work through this together?" rather than, "Who is to blame?" They are more willing to listen to their partner's perspective, to confront their own shortcomings, and to learn new ways of relating to one another. They understand that love is a skill that can be cultivated, and that a lasting bond is forged not in the absence of problems, but in the willingness to face them head-on, with patience and a shared commitment to growth. This approach transforms a relationship from a fragile object that might break into a living, evolving entity that gets stronger with every challenge it overcomes. One of the most profound and life-altering shifts that comes from adopting a growth mindset is the complete redefinition of failure. In a world dominated by a fixed mindset, failure is the ultimate enemy. It is seen as a definitive statement of your inadequacy, a permanent mark on your record that proves you lack the necessary talent or intelligence. This deep-seated fear of failure is what keeps so many people from even trying to pursue their dreams. They avoid challenges, stick to the safe path, and shy away from any endeavor where success is not guaranteed. The fixed mindset tells them that if they fail, they are a failure. This perspective turns every setback into a crushing blow to their self-worth, making it incredibly difficult to recover and try again. The growth mindset, however, flips this entire narrative on its head. It teaches us that failure is not proof of inadequacy. It is an essential and unavoidable part of the learning process. It is a stepping stone on the path to success, not a barrier that blocks the way. From this perspective, failure is simply data. It's valuable feedback that tells you what isn't working, so you can adjust your strategy and try a new approach. People with a growth mindset understand that every master was once a beginner, and every expert has a long history of mistakes behind them. They don't just tolerate failure, they actively embrace it as an opportunity to learn, to grow stronger, and to get closer to their goals. History is filled with iconic figures whose stories are a testament to this powerful truth. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work" on his path to inventing the light bulb. Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team, later stated, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." These individuals didn't possess some magical immunity to failure. On the contrary, they succeeded because they failed. and they use those failures as fuel for their determination and as lessons for their improvement. This understanding is liberating. It gives you the freedom to be ambitious, to take risks, and to pursue big, audacious goals without the paralyzing fear of not getting it right the first time. When you truly believe that failure is a part of progress, you become unstoppable. Every setback, every mistake, and every rejection no longer has the power to define you. Instead, it becomes a crucial part of your story, a chapter that teaches you resilience, humility, and the critical lessons needed to finally achieve your breakthrough. Adopting a growth mindset means you stop avoiding failure and start using it as the powerful tool for growth it was always meant to be. So, the big question is, can you actually change your mindset? Is it possible to shift from a fixed view of your abilities to a growth-oriented one? The answer from Dr. Dweck, backed by years of research, is an emphatic and resounding yes. Your mindset is not a permanent fixture of your personality. It is a belief system, and beliefs can be changed. The very first step on this transformative journey is to develop a keen awareness of your own inner voice. You need to start listening, truly listening, to the thoughts that run through your head, especially when you are faced with a challenge, a setback, or a moment of self-doubt. This internal monologue is the clearest window into your current mindset, and recognizing it is the first step to changing it. For many of us, the default voice is the one from the fixed mindset. It's the voice that whispers, "I'm just not good at this," when you struggle with a new task. It's the one that says, "I'll never be as successful as they are," when you see someone else's achievements. This voice is a master of excuses and limitations, constantly telling you what you can't do and who you can't become. It's the inner critic that rears its head when you think about taking a risk, saying, "What if you fail? Everyone will see you're not smart enough." For today, your only job is to become an observer of this voice. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just notice when it shows up. Acknowledge its presence and the fixed mindset messages it delivers. Once you can recognize this fixed mindset voice, you can begin to actively challenge it. This is where the real work begins. You have to consciously choose a different response. When you hear that inner voice say, "I'm not good at this," you must counter it with a growth mindset alternative. You can say to yourself, "This is a new skill, and I am in the process of learning it." When the voice says, "I'll never be like them," you can replace it with, "I can learn from their journey and apply those lessons to my own path." The key is to reframe the narrative from one of permanent limitation to one of ongoing progress. It's about introducing the concept of yet into your vocabulary. "I don't know how" becomes "I don't know how yet." This process will feel unnatural at first. You are essentially rewiring a lifetime of mental habits, and that takes deliberate and consistent practice. But with every conscious choice to replace a fixed mindset thought with a growth mindset one, you are strengthening a new neural pathway in your brain. You are building the muscle of self-encouragement and resilience. It starts with simple awareness, a moment of pause where you catch the old limiting belief. Then, you make a new choice. You choose the voice that speaks of possibility, of effort, and of growth. This is not about lying to yourself. It's about telling yourself a more powerful and accurate truth, that you are a work in progress, fully capable of learning and improving.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle.
The second crucial step in building a growth mindset is to fundamentally change your relationship with challenges. For years, your fixed mindset may have trained you to see challenges as threats, as dangerous situations where your intelligence and talent would be tested and possibly found lacking. This fear causes you to play it safe, to stay within the cozy confines of your comfort zone where you know you can succeed. But here's the truth. Your comfort zone is not a place of safety. It's a place of stagnation. Real growth, true learning, and meaningful achievement happen only when you are willing to step outside of it, to take on tasks that stretch your abilities and push you to your limits. Your new mission is to stop running from hard things and start running towards them. This means actively seeking out challenges instead of waiting for them to find you. Look for opportunities in your work, your studies, and your personal life that seem just a little bit out of your reach. Volunteer for the project that no one else wants because it's too complex. Sign up for the advanced class that you know will be difficult. Pick up the hobby you've always been curious about but were afraid you wouldn't be good at. The goal here is not to succeed immediately. The goal is to engage in the struggle. It is the process of grappling with the difficulty, of trying and failing and trying again, that actually builds new skills and makes your brain stronger. Challenges are the gym for your mind. As you begin to embrace challenges, it's important to redefine what a win looks like. In the fixed mindset world, a win is getting the right answer or achieving a perfect outcome. In the growth mindset world, the win is the effort you put in. The win is having the courage to try something difficult in the first place. The win is persisting when you feel like giving up. The win is learning something new from the experience, regardless of the final result. By shifting your focus from the outcome to the process, you strip the challenge of its power to make you feel like a failure. You are free to explore, to experiment, and to learn without the crushing pressure of having to be perfect. This will require you to be brave. It will feel uncomfortable, and you will undoubtedly make mistakes along the way. Your fixed mindset voice will scream at you to retreat to safety. But every time you intentionally choose the harder path, you are sending a powerful message to yourself. You are telling yourself that you value growth over comfort, that you believe in your ability to learn, and that you are not defined by your current skill set. Over time, this deliberate practice will transform your initial fear into a sense of excitement. You will start to crave challenges, seeing them not as threats to your ego, but as exciting adventures that lead to a more capable and confident version of yourself. The third pillar in constructing a robust growth mindset is to completely overhaul your definition of success. Our society often celebrates effortless achievement, praising the natural or the prodigy. This reinforces the fixed mindset idea that if you have to try hard, you must not be very smart. To build a growth mindset, you must reject this toxic myth and embrace a new, more empowering truth. Effort is the path to mastery. It is not a sign of weakness. It is the very engine of achievement. Your new standard for success should not be whether you won or lost, or whether you got an A or a C. Your new standard should be, did I give it my all? Did I try my absolute best? This means you need to start celebrating effort, both in yourself and in others. When you complete a project, don't just focus on the final outcome. Take a moment to reflect on the hard work you invested, the persistence you showed when you hit a snag, and the strategies you employed to overcome obstacles. Praise yourself for that. Say, I am proud of the dedication I showed on this project. When you see a colleague succeed, instead of thinking, they're so talented, try thinking, I'm so impressed by their work ethic and the effort they must have put in to achieve that. This shift in focus changes your entire value system, making hard work something to be admired and emulated, not something to be ashamed of. This new focus on effort also changes how you approach your goals. Instead of being fixated on the end result, you become more engaged in the process. This is incredibly liberating because the process is something you have complete control over, while the outcome is often influenced by external factors. You can't always control whether you get the promotion, but you can control the effort you put into your work every single day. You can't guarantee you'll win the race, but you can control how consistently you train. By making effort your primary measure of success, you give yourself a way to win every single day, regardless of the scoreboard. This builds momentum and keeps you motivated for the long haul. Adopting this mindset also builds incredible resilience. When effort is your benchmark, a setback is no longer a failure. It's simply a sign that your current effort needs to be combined with a new strategy. It doesn't crush your spirit because your success wasn't tied to the outcome in the first place. You can look at the situation and say, okay, that approach didn't work. I put in the effort and now I've learned something. Let's try a different way. This allows you to bounce back quickly, with your self-esteem intact and your motivation renewed. You begin to understand that mastery is not an event. It's a process of continuous, dedicated, and intelligent effort over time. The final and perhaps most challenging step in building a growth mindset is to transform your relationship with criticism and feedback. For someone with a fixed mindset, criticism feels like a personal attack. It's a judgment of their core abilities, a confirmation of their deepest fears that they are not good enough. As a result, they may become defensive, make excuses, or shut down completely when faced with feedback. They hear criticism as, "You are wrong," which they interpret as, "You are a failure." This defensive posture makes it impossible to learn from the valuable insights that others can provide, effectively cutting them off from one of the most powerful sources of growth available. To truly grow, you must learn to see feedback not as an attack, but as a gift. Start by consciously reframing the purpose of feedback. Criticism is not meant to tear you down, it is meant to build you up. It is valuable information that you can use to improve. It's a roadmap that shows you exactly where you need to focus your efforts. When you receive feedback, your first job is to fight the defensive urge. Take a deep breath and listen with the genuine intention of understanding, not with the intention of rebutting. Assume the person giving the feedback has positive intent, even if their delivery isn't perfect. Your goal is to mine for the gold, the 1 or 2 nuggets of insight that can help you get better. Ask clarifying questions like, "Can you give me an example of what you mean?" Or, "What would you suggest I do differently next time?" It is also crucial to separate your identity from your performance. The feedback is about a specific action, a specific project, or a specific behavior. It is not about you as a person. A growth mindset allows you to see this distinction clearly. Someone might be critiquing your presentation, not your intelligence. They might be giving you feedback on a report, not on your worth as an employee. By depersonalizing the feedback, you can evaluate it objectively. You can look at it as helpful data that you can choose to use to refine your skills. This emotional distance is key to being able to hear, process, and act on criticism without letting it wound your ego. Finally, actively seek out feedback. Don't wait for your annual performance review. Make it a regular practice to ask trusted colleagues, mentors, or managers, "What is one thing I could be doing better?" Or, "How could I have improved my approach on that last project?" This proactive stance not only provides you with a constant stream of information for growth, but it also signals to others that you are a learner, committed to your own development. When you consistently demonstrate that you can receive feedback gracefully and use it constructively, people will be more willing to invest in your growth. You turn critics into coaches, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to sharpen your skills and get one step closer to your full potential. We have journeyed through the powerful, life-altering landscape of mindset, exploring the profound ideas laid out by Dr. Carol S. Dweck. We've seen how the world looks entirely different through the lens of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. One view is limiting, creating a reality where your talents are static, challenges are threats, and failure is a final verdict on your worth. The other view is liberating, opening up a world where your abilities can be cultivated, challenges are exciting opportunities to learn, and failure is nothing more than a stepping stone on the path to mastery. This single distinction is the invisible force shaping your education, your career, your relationships, and ultimately, your entire life story. It's the difference between being a passenger and being the driver of your own potential. The core message of mindset is one of profound hope and empowerment. It dismantles the myth that you are defined by the cards you were dealt at birth. It hands you back the power, reminding you that your intelligence, your creativity, and your skills are not set in stone. They are dynamic, malleable, and waiting to be developed by your own effort and dedication. This isn't just a feel-good theory. It is a psychological truth backed by decades of research. From the classroom to the boardroom, from the sports field to our own homes, the evidence is clear. Those who believe in their capacity for growth are the ones who achieve it. They are the ones who build resilient companies, loving relationships, and lives of continuous, meaningful accomplishment. The most important takeaway is that this power to change is within your grasp right now. You can start today by simply listening to your inner voice and choosing a different response. You can decide to seek out a challenge instead of avoiding one. You can choose to praise your own effort instead of criticizing the outcome. You can ask for feedback and see it as a gift. This is not about becoming the best in the world overnight. As Carol Dweck reminds us, it's not about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday. That is the true spirit of the growth mindset. It is a commitment to the journey, not just the destination. It is a daily practice of learning, improving, and becoming more. So, as we conclude, remember that your mindset is the foundation upon which your future will be built. It is the soil in which all your future achievements will grow. The choice between a fixed and a growth mindset is the most important decision you will make, and you get to make it every single day. The path to unlocking your potential is not a secret reserved for a talented few. It is a journey open to anyone who is willing to believe in the power of growth, to embrace the process, and to take that first brave step. Your journey to becoming the person you were always meant to be is just beginning. Choose to grow.